Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the last part, well, we had to start this whole recording session that I'm doing at the moment over, but we made it through a bunch more than what I made it through the first time recording this, thanks to, not getting stuck, not as much extraneous clicking, all that stuff. But in this part, we're going to get to have our second dance of deduction with Mr. Herlock Sholmes, and potentially get very close to the end of this case. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Ha! You have solved it! Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is this stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories.
Da, locked room, that is point.
The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. We literally just saw an example of otherwise, but sure. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all.
What?
Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator man.
The ventilator? Gah-ha-ha-ha-ha! You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole.
That's probably because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madame. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I am about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold! What the... Oh, hi. Where did you come from? Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The Speckled Band. A snake? Indubitably. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it... the striped band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe, with distinction. However, do you not think That is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall. Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi? I'm glad he can't speak, because his voice is a little bit hard to do. It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that lone friend in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. And here we go. Topic number 1. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? As I suspected, another telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal, can only be the snake's sloughed skin. I still don't know how to pronounce that word. I never looked it up. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No. I don't know what you are talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. A snake so dreadful we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt.
You don't.
It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend.
To train?
Indeed, you put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny that the snake has undergone such training?
It's not true.
Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Well, there's a lot of things wrong with that. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible. You've solved the mystery. No, he hasn't. Please don't give him credit. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind?
It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me.
I welcome questions as to my method, and I will answer both loudly and proudly.
Well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family.
You are well informed, madam.
And reptiles, don't drink milk.
Ah.
It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward.
No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. Yeah, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal a snake by whistling.
But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute?
I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements.
Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless!
Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There is one other thing.
You have more?
Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure the snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins.
Then it should try harder!
Please don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh no, you don't mean...
Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be.
I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? You've done it again.
Your handcuffs are gone.
Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular.
Time for the course correction. So we're just going to skip to the first part. Aching heart is the wrong thing here. She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Well, here's the thing.
Yes!
There's a claw scratch. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah! When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse.
And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death.
So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Yeah. We know it was the friend, but it's not the writhing serpent. She seems confused by that. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they?
No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow.
Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers?
We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer.
This? Oh, would you look at that? She's got a cute little kitty with her. Ah, look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away.
She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she?
Yes, that's true, but personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better get a closer look at this.
Yes!
Boom! Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear.
Oh no.
The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you?
Ah!
DARKA is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. DARKA would appear to be a Russian blue. Oh, wrong voice. DARKA would appear to be a Russian blue, and yet that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night?
No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yeah, this is obviously wrong now.
Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back.
If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known.
Oh yes, plays like that are Mr. Sholmes' specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something.
I thought the deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too.
Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake.
In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Let's find out. There we go. Down. Over. What is this? Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but what is it? Seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end.
I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently.
How is that a toy for cats?
Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them and they pounce to catch it.
That sounds positively adorable. Oh, that's the answer.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you were trying but failing to conceal is, a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band.
Ah!
And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume? Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. after her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin. Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of DARKA. Kya! A truly troublesome feline young DARKA is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. It was after I gave her her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. DARKA, she is so naughty. Cats are typically pretty mischievous. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. Let's see what's wrong here. Well, we know it's not a snake, so that's not correct. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right, but Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. And obviously the information that he's missing is the post-mortem report.
Yes!
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah, yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as a fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, examination of the... No, not the deceased's body. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, DARKA didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh, yes. A bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? I'd say this.
Yes!
I think this is right. Yes, yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish.
Shoe polish?
Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I now carry as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's leather-laced shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped.
Please, no.
And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life.
No! I don't know anything about this.
Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. It is not the traveling case.
I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he is no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it.
I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. And if this part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes.
Where, I wonder?
Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. And I'm almost certain it was in the wastepaper basket.
This is a wastepaper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them.
But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that?
It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before.
If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
Yes!
That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that wastepaper basket.
Ah!
And we have a fragment of some intricate glass object. It would seem one that has familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly.
Oh no.
So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the wastepaper basket in your cabin? I can't do the screams. I'm sorry. You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not?
I don't.
I don't know, and that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question.
What?
Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be... well, linking her and the little glass bell is this.
Yes!
if you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, DARKA.
I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry.
It's so weird. Death by tripping over a cat. I mean, falls kill more people than anything else in the world. Gonna be honest with you if you look up the statistics, but still, it's ridiculous. You tell us now, Miss Pavlova. Tell us exactly what happened last night.
It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands.
People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments.
She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her.
And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it.
Yes, and I had read the, rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me.
Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really.
So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping.
So at that point, you thought it safe to try and lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin.
Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return.
So the faint whistling sound that Cosimo wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened.
Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent.
Cosimo was. From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Buria is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, when the combination of unfortunate factors could have easily caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards?
In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator.
Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen.
I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again.
Gracious, that cat is insufferably restless as I am. Is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least.
When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it, and where did it come from? And we're going to find out the answer to that little mystery in the next episode. Wow. Ugh, quite a long dance of deduction, and then the fallout here. Going to take a bit more, maybe 2 more episodes, I'd say. So, yes, thank you guys very much for watching, and next time we are going to hopefully reach the full truth of this matter. See you guys then.